The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.
And we are live to tape on the W2M Network for Wrestling to the Max 205 Live for April 24th, 2018. Good evening, everybody. I am your host, Harry Broadhurst, back after a week's vacation. Thanks for missing me. I appreciate it. All the calls and tweets. Unfortunately, the co-hostess with the mostest is not here this evening as Liz has a personal matter to take care of, but she will be back with us hopefully next Tuesday night. Instead, I am only joined by the Shooter McGavin to my Happy Gilmore, Brandon Biskobing.
Oh, God.
That is a quality reference, and you know it.
Yes.
One of the best villains of all time.
Next you're going to go to, like, other old school shows like Gilligan's Island or something.
I wasn't really a Gilligan's fan. Honestly, if I could remember the dude's name, I'd have used the teacher from Billy Madison instead, because that would have been slightly more obscure.
I thought of one. I may have to send it to you after the show.
Did you know that Mama says wrestling is the devil? I'm going to take full credit for that. And now that we've been completely unprofessional to start the show, let's go ahead and talk about what we are discussing tonight. This is your 205 Live review. In addition, we will throw in prediction. Well,
one prediction.
Technically, this is the only match I did not predict on the reaction last night, so you will get to hear my full thoughts on this contest.
Oh, okay. Well, so, because you couldn't, because you didn't know who he would be facing.
Who it was going to be.
Yeah.
I mean, I assumed it was going to be Mustafa Ali again.
I thought it was, too.
So much for that. So much for that.
Yeah.
So instead, tonight on 205 Live, our opening contest scheduled for 4 falls.
And the whole show, 4 falls.
Doesn't have the same ring to it.
Fine.
It just doesn't have the same ring to it. So you know what? We're going to handle each one of these individually. Our opening segment scheduled for 1 fall.
1 fall.
There it is. Is Mustafa Ali taking on TJP as we begin to find stop, rewind, try that again. Mustafa Ali takes on TJP as we attempt to find a number 1 contender to Cedric Alexander's Cruiserweight title at the Greatest Royal Rumble. In this match here, we see TJP do some very strong leg work on Mustafa Ali. However, Ali ends up picking up the win with the 054 at about 10 minutes. Yes? No? Nothing?
It was a solid match. I mean, it was a very, it was one of those, the more ground-based offensive TJP against a very high-flying Mustafa Ali. And, like you said, some nice leg work by TJP because he's got that knee bar as his finisher. But Mustafa was able to fight through it and get the 054. Now, it didn't exactly help him that he had such a grueling match in the first match because we saw what happened after that in the next one.
Indeed, our second segment scheduled for 1 fall.
1 fall.
Sees Drew Gulak come out and basically F up Mustafa Ali's world.
Yeah, pretty much.
For lack of a better phrase.
Yeah, he pretty much just finished off the work that TJP put in.
12 minutes after Gulak is out there, Mustafa Ali finds himself tapping on heaven's door to the Gulak at 22 minutes and 12 seconds.
That was a good one.
Thank you. I try. Every now and then I'm as funny as I think I am. Phenomenal focus work from Gulak here. In my opinion, he is probably the best cruiserweight when it comes to the all-around, the personality, the in-ring work, as well as the ability to cut promos.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think anybody in this division right now touches Gulak, but since they want a babyface to kind of carry the division right now, this is why we're seeing Cedric holding the title.
Yep.
Our third segment scheduled for 1 fall.
1 fall.
As Brandon falls asleep on me. Sees Drew Gulak take out Tony Nese with the Gulak as well. And to borrow a phrase from Kurt Angle, he was tapping like Mr. Bojangles at approximately 8 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, this was a pretty solid one, too, especially with the feud that they've been kind of building over the last couple of weeks between these two. I definitely want to see more between these two.
I think the way that the finish happened pretty much guarantees that we're not done with these two yet.
Yeah.
Specifically the fact that Nice had Gulak pinned after the corner Nice.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I am calling it Knees, as in Nese instead of Knees.
Well, yes, as it should.
Instead of going for the cover, Tony instead pulled down the knee pad and went for another corner Nice, except this time Gulak was able to roll out of the way, and then when Tony tried to go after Gulak afterwards, Gulak was able to roll him up and then scoop him right around into the gulag for the tap-out victory.
Mm-hmm.
Our final segment, scheduled for one fall, sees Kalisto come out and basically pick up the bones at 8 minutes and 45 seconds and a total run time of 38 minutes and 55 seconds when Kalisto pins Drew Gulak with Salida del Sol. I almost felt bad for Gulak. He worked almost a half an hour and ends up with nothing to show for it.
Well, that's what happens in these gauntlet matches. I mean, look at what happened with Seth a couple of months back.
Yes, Gulak basically did one half Rollins tonight.
Yep.
But in the end, it is Kalisto who comes out as the contender for Cedric Alexander. Are you okay with this?
I mean, technically we haven't seen this match before for the title, but it just still kind of feels like they're just kind of rotating between, like, 3 different guys for the title. And I would have liked to have seen someone new in this spot, or, we talked about this we talked about this off the air, and I don't think they're exactly, I don't think Saudi Arabia and Pakistan are really all that friendly
Iran.
either. Well, no, that we were talking about Iran for Davari, but Mustafa is by way of Pakistan, I think.
Yes. Technically he's by way of Chicago.
But like back during the Cruiserweight Classic, he was
representing Pakistan because his family is of Pakistani heritage.
Exactly. But you could still make that play. I'm not sure what their relationship is with the Saudis, but I was half expecting them to go that route with this, because those are the only 2 Middle Eastern guys on the WWE roster right now. And knowing how WWE is with things like that, you expect something like that. But,
I just want to state for the record that I don't, you racist.
I'm not saying it. I'm just saying, looking at WWE's track record. Let's just be honest here.
Scale of 1 to 10, Brandon, where do you fall?
I mean, this was a 7. It was just one match. I mean, technically 4 matches, but spread out into one big match.
4 falls.
Yep, 4 falls. Honestly, a little surprised. Not really surprised, but a little surprised that Kalisto got it again, because especially with how they're trying to push this whole tag team division thing and, Lucha House Party and all of that. But, yeah. We'll see if this ends up doing anything or if this is just kind of a throwaway. I'm probably leaning towards the latter.
I don't dislike Kalisto winning because I think the fans will be behind Kalisto as much as they are behind Alexander over in Saudi Arabia, and maybe even more so than they are behind Alexander. That being said, though, I think that you've just recently done the face versus face dynamic for the title, and to do it again so soon seems kind of redundant to me.
I agree with that, but I mean, like we talked about on SmackDown, this is basically just a glorified house show, so I don't think they really care all that much about. I mean, all of the matches except for this one, well, except for some matches that have added people or subtracted people, all of the matches except for this one is a rematch of a WrestleMania match of some sort, or in some way, shape, or form.
Not the U.S. title match, but that's neither here nor there.
Well, yes, that's different.
Did you know the reason that Buddy Murphy is not competing in this match?
I know the kayfabe reason, but I'm assuming there's some sort of other reasoning.
It has to be your accent for how you pronounce that. It has to be.
How do you pronounce it?
Fabe.
Okay, fine. Kayfabe.
Thank you. It drives me nuts. Buddy Murphy's work visa only allows him to work in the United States.
Oh, okay.
So it is not valid for the trip over to Saudi Arabia. Odds are Murphy will still probably be the one getting the title shot at Backlash, more than likely on the kickoff show because, cruiserweights.
But, so does that mean that we're not going to see him next week either, then?
They'll be back in... Oh, yeah, you're right. They're back in Canada. They're in Canada.
And then the next week, or not the next week, but in a couple of weeks also, they'll be in London.
Dun, dun, dun!
So, yeah, I don't know how that's going to work.
I do believe the polite way to put it is, well, technically, isn't Australia, isn't that still partially under British rule?
They're their own country. I don't think they have any... I don't think England has any sort of jurisdiction under them, or over them anymore.
Well, that's unfortunate for Buddy Murphy, because he might be screwed. That's all right. I'm sure Alexa will make him feel better. Lucky bastard. I'm not bitter at all. Why do you ask, Brandon?
Before we go into our, grading and everything, did you notice the weird fan that just randomly had a Mexican flag in the front row?
I'd say he knew Kalisto was winning, but that would be racist.
But yeah, it was just weird.
Because, maybe he was there to support Gran Metalik, who actually is from Mexico. Kalisto's from Chicago. Lindsay's from Puerto Rico.
Oh, I know this.
So maybe he was just a really, really big fan and hoping Gran Metalik was going to be on the show.
But what's even funnier is that Kalisto actually acknowledged it.
They are the Lucha House Party. Lucha includes all parts of Mexico, I guess.
I understand this, but it just further proves my point.
We are losing the plot point here, which is the fact that I haven't given this show a rating yet. I'm going to go with 7.5.
Okay. I'll give it a 7.
You already did.
Oh, okay.
I will give you credit for sticking to the same score for both scores.
Yes.
At least you didn't flip-flop.
Yes, at least I didn't change it.
That would have been awkward.
That would have been bad.
One-word review, Brandon.
One-dimensional? It was just one match?
Yeah, but see, it was a good match.
It was a good match. I'll give you that.
I'm going to go with entertaining.
Yeah.
And as an alternate one word there, I'll go with subplotted.
Mm-hmm.
Because they managed to work a couple of different storylines in as well by having just the one match still,
That is true. I would have liked to have seen a few more guys. I know they were limited on time, but, they only had 5 guys in it?
Yeah, it was only 5, which, technically speaking, they still ran about almost 40 minutes. I think I said the final runtime was 38:55. Yeah. So even with those 5 guys, each of them got about 8 minutes or so, which means they didn't Cruiserweight open anybody from WrestleMania, so that's a bonus.
Yeah, that is true.
I don't know if you remember WrestleMania 20, but I sure do, and it was hot fucking garbage.
I don't remember it, but I've heard stories about it.
consider yourself lucky, and whatever you do, be careful if you go back and rewatch WrestleMania 20.
Okay, fair enough.
Just a friendly heads up. The Greatest Royal Rumble now sees Cedric Alexander defend against Kalisto. Alexander retains here, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, there's zero reason to put the belt on Kalisto when Kalisto and the rest of Team Lucha, the Lucha House Party, have their feud with Team Japan still kind of going on.
Not only that, but, you put all of this work into building Cedric and, like, having him have this big, grand finale to his whole, journey to the title at WrestleMania, and just to kind of throw it away at a glorified house show would be stupid.
Yeah, so Cedric Alexander retains.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Brandon, if people wanted to hear the rest of your predictions, where could they find them?
They can hear the rest of my predictions for Greatest Royal Rumble on the Raw review from last night, and the SmackDown review on the Wrestling to the Max website and on Spreaker. And anywhere else you can find podcasts.
Hold on, I can answer that for you. Spreaker, Stitcher, iTunes, iHeartRadio, and coming soon to Spotify.
Yes.
Woohoo!
Woot!
Spotify, looks like we made it. You can hear my full thoughts, with the exception of tonight's Cruiserweight match, by listening to Monday night's episode, technically early Wednesday morning at the time we're recording this, just for frame of reference, by listening to the Monday night, April 23rd edition of the Raw Reaction over on blogtalkradio.com/ChairShotRadio, or by looking for thechairshot.com, because pretty sure the episodes of the reaction get posted over there as well. You can find Wrestling to the Max on Facebook, Brandon?
Oh, yes.
And you know where you would find them on Facebook?
At Wrestling to the Max.
They're also available on Twitter. They might have an Instagram. I don't know. I don't use Instagram. They may or may not.
Neither do I.
The one part of social media I'm not particularly social with.
Yep. I don't take enough pictures.
I think we've plugged just about everything so far.
Yep.
I feel like I'm forgetting something, though. I don't know.
I think we got it all.
I feel like I'm forgetting something. And it has something to do with the National Football
League.
We're back. On most of these same places that you would be listening to this particular episode of the 205 Live Review, be it iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, YouTube, wherever it is that you're listening. Tomorrow night, Wednesday, well, technically tonight at this point here on the East Coast, approximately 9:30-ish Eastern Standard Time, we will be recording the draft preview episode of The Kickoff, making a 2-week return from hiatus in order to cover the draft, both previewing the draft this week and reviewing the draft next week. You can listen to myself, Harry Broadhurst, himself, Brandon Biskobing, Eric Watkins, and Jason Teasley as we present The Kickoff 2018 NFL Draft Preview tomorrow night here on the W2M Network. Available online at W2Mnet.com. Anything else to plug before we get out of here, Brandon?
I probably will be, not sure who my host/co-host will be, but on Thursday we will have an NXT review for tomorrow, well, technically tonight's episode. So, yeah, if you're into NXT, if you follow NXT, be sure to tune into that.
I will say maybe as far as my schedule goes, if I'm free, I'll think about it.
You just don't want to pull the quadfecta.
I don't want to have to do 5 podcasts in 5 days.
And then we don't know if Sean's going to try to wrangle us into doing something for GRR.
Yeah, I'm not watching GRR until late on Friday, so that's not happening for me.
Well, neither am I, so.
If he can wrangle you, then more power to him. He's not wrangling me. You know what the other thing about me not wanting to do these extra podcasts is, Brandon?
What?
Because then I have to think of more nicknames, and frankly, it's hard enough to come up with the ones that I do.
You started this on SmackDown, so is this going to just be a wrestling-based thing, or is this going to continue on Kickoff?
Yes, it's just going to be wrestling-based,
okay.
because if it was a Kickoff-based thing, then I would say that you are the Joe Theismann to my Ken Tatum, or Jack Tatum. Jack Tatum.
Or I could say, this would actually work because I'm a Giants fan. I could say I'm the Eli Manning to your New England Patriots.
Call me the Patriots again, and I'm gonna hang up on your ass. That's not me kidding. That's me speaking truth right now. Call me the Patriots.
I could say I could say one worse that would really hurt.
You're the Phil Simms to my Jim Kelly? Yeah,
Yep.
I'm aware. At least Kelly's respected by everybody. Anywho, we're getting so far off track that I got to try to bring us back around. So let's go ahead and do this here. Greatest Royal Rumble this Friday, Backlash the following Sunday. Stay tuned to the W2M Network for information about reviews and previews for those two shows. Odds are TR is not going to get a preview show. It definitely will get a review show. Not sure about Backlash. We'll have to talk to Sean about that. But for the absent Liz Puglisi, the co-hostess with the mostest, he's Brandon Biskobing. I'm Harry Broadhurst. Thanking you for listening to the Wrestling to the Max 205 live review here on the W2M Network for April 24th, 2018. Thanks for listening. Have a great day, night, whenever you're listening to this episode, and we will talk to you guys next week.